clip of the audio, Jim, of Trump's tape, because I feel like if people haven't heard it, they need to hear it before we start talking about it. This is it's pretty wild. So, Tony, do we have it up? Let's listen
These are
in.
bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the
Like
beginning.
when Millie's talking about, oh, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in.
That's right.
Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him.
Wow.
We looked at him. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
There he is, rifling through the pages.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, Except it is like highly confidential, secret. This is secret information. But look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time,
she'd send
Private
it.
email.
No, she'd send it to
Yeah.
Anthony Weiner,
Yeah.
the pervert.
Please print.
By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what. These are the
You did.
papers.
Wow.
This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassify
figure out
it. See, as president, I could have declassified
Yeah.
it. Now I can't, but this is
Yeah,
classified.
now we have a problem.
Isn't that
Oh.
interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. We here and I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
It's
you.
incredible, right?
No,
Hey, bring
they
some
never
bring some
warned
cokes
it.
in, please.
And that is why some legal minds have said that the former president is toast, cooked. His goose is cooked. But Trump says this morning, no, this is actually an exoneration of him. He is blaming the special counsel, Jack Smith, for illegally leaking and spinning this. Hi, Jim, what are your thoughts on all this?
Well, I think it shortens the countdown to prison, to tell you the truth. He says some very important things in this tape that, when you really hear it, it really makes a difference. He says that that right here, these are the pages. So he has said in the past, his defense on Hannity was that he was just looking at newspaper articles. Well, he says, look at this. These are the pages. It's there's lots of them. He said these are highly confidential. These are highly confidential. Newspapers are not highly confidential.
No.
He's talking and holding and pushing around the actual documents. And again, this is about the safety of American soldiers. If indeed there was a need to attack Iran because of nuclear issues, these pages told Iran exactly how we would do it and could really cost lives. This is treason. This is serious business. And to hear him laughing about it and his sycophant aides laughing about it,
Yeah.
and then ordering some Cokes at the end, I mean, it's just an embarrassing but serious matter. Really
It's definitely
serious.
worse than the transcript. You still have the electronic burp for some reason. I don't know why.
Geez.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I went in and out. I don't know what I can do.
It can't be helped. But it is worse. It seems when you actually hear him, and I think it's the flippant way that he has about him and the joking about it when the argument could be made, well, it's still only audio. So we don't know what he's waving around, right? He could say, well, I wasn't waving what you think I was waving. I didn't do what you think I did. Why would you think, how could he twist this to say it's in any way an exoneration of charges?
I don't think he can. He pretty much describes what he's holding.
Yeah.
And, his own description there is damning. So I don't think that his explanations hold water. And as far as leaking it, he has no evidence that the Justice Department leaked this. There are somebody in that room taped it. One of those witnesses taped it, right?
Well,
The office,
what I understand is they taped everything. And so he
right?
knew he was being taped. It was very common that they would tape these types of exchanges. And so he probably knew that it was on recording, which, I mean, that's even dumber.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt he's dumb, but the either his aide, who I'm sure all of those people have been subpoenaed and either testified before the grand jury, or we'll see them in court.
Yeah,
Um, I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that when you introduce a tape, you have to have the person who taped it or who was there to authenticate that this is exactly what was taped and what was said. And so
yeah,
one of those persons will be in court, and so one of those people who either the aide who was taping it at his instruction or the authors who frequently tape their interviews in order to write what was said accurately has that tape. It could have been either any of those people who have released it to CNN first and now the New York Times and the Washington Post. So, uh, the fact that that's one of the defenses that's out there now on the GOP talking points is that this is more evidence that there's unfair treatment of Donald Trump because it's been leaked. Well, it hasn't been. There's no proof that it's been leaked, and it's just more uh, obfuscation, to use a big word, uh,
ding.
is upon, misdirection on the part of Donald Trump. This was really damaging and highlights. As you know, I've been writing about media and politics on the Barrett News Service, and this really highlights uh, the fact that CNN, despite all of its troubles, has had a pretty good couple of weeks.
Yeah,
They did great coverage on the submarine, which brought a lot of viewers to them. It was constant. It was the kind of thing we tuned to CNN for.
right.
Uh, then the Russia invasion. It was on the weekend, unfortunately, for CNN, which fewer people were watching on the weekend. But they did an excellent job on that. They had Christiane Amanpour anchoring from London. Brings all that credibility and reminds us of what CNN used to be.
Yep.
Anchoring from London over the weekend, they sent Wolf Blitzer over, which Wolf is not the strongest of their anchors, but at least is pretty solid, and people do respect him for being straight. Uh, and they did a great coverage on that. And now they broke this story yesterday, which is a huge story
Yeah.
in the
That
Donald
that
Trump
we
investigation.
should mention, by the way, that's exclusive audio to CNN. So yeah,
Yeah, it was. Although the New York Times and Washington Post now have it as well, but certainly CNN was the
yeah,
first. And that it's really something to see how when the executives get out of the way. I mean, when Chris Lick is gone and got out of the way, and
mm,
you're not really hearing much from these new execs. I apologize for the frog in my throat.
mm-mm.
Um, these new execs who have been there for a while are just kind of not talking a lot. They're just letting CNN do its job, and
Yep.
it's done a pretty good job these last couple of weeks. I hope it's reflected in the ratings. I wrote about this week. It's just dropped today on the Barrett News Media, and you can see it on my Twitter feed. A column about Fox News and their efforts to regain their audience, and I really think they're going the wrong way uh, with the new Jesse Waters appointment.
Let's jump to that because since you mentioned it, and I will post the link to your article in the chat. But you were talking about the replacement of Tucker Carlson. And I think, on the surface, you can think, well, I don't watch Fox News. Why do I care who replaces Tucker Carlson? But this person, in this time slot, often has, as we've seen, influence over a large part of America. We're all talking about what the person in this time slot used to say. So there is this person that may have influence over what people think, what people are hearing. Who is Jesse Waters and why do we care about him?
Well, certainly he's chosen by Fox because he's been groomed to become this person. He started off in the former 8 o'clock hour host Bill O'Reilly's show as a quote fake correspondent, one of those guys who would go out and interview people, and really it was a way to mock them. And he frequently mocked immigrants and minorities. He was reprimanded by the Asian journalists for doing a piece where he uh, mocked the speech of Chinese Americans in Chinatown, and it was called racist by the Asian American journalist. He also said on his show, The Five, he's on The Five, which is the second most popular show on Fox, where they have these five people sit around and talk about the news. One of them is liberal, the other four are conservatives, and Jesse Waters is frequently the host of that show. He, on that show, said that Dr. Anthony Fauci should be targeted and there should be shot.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
and he claimed that he was saying he should be shot in a figurative way by pointed questions. So he is. I compare him in the article to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, of course, was just as dangerous. He was a guy who was full of conspiracy theories, but he was from the elite. His mother was the owner of Swanson, the heir to the Swanson frozen food fortune, and
Hmm.
so he grew up and went to a fancy university and was part of the elites that supposedly the Trumps hate. But because of that, he was smooth on the air, and he could kind of gently raise these issues
Hmm.
and he called the insurrectionists tourists at the Capitol, that kind of thing. But Jesse Waters is a more direct, sort of Bill O'Reilly style, without the broadcasting um, pipes that Bill O'Reilly had. Waters is really one of who is annoyingly funny. He thinks he's funny, but I think, and I write that he's not funny. He's just mean. He's mean to people. Will that work? I conclude that unfortunately it will probably work, and
I
he'll
just
regain some of the audience they've lost.
That makes me sad because what the world needs is not more mean. What
Yeah.
the world needs is not more mean-spirited Trump jabs at everybody.
Yeah.
It's very low brow. You write in this article at barrettnewsmedia.com that Waters' humor has been directed at homeless people. He called unhoused people in San Francisco, you say, bags of flesh mutating on the sidewalk. You also talk about how he's harassed Asians in New York's Chinatown, mocking their speech, feigning karate moves. In a bit, the Asian American Journalists Association labeled rude, offensive, mocking, derogatory, and damaging. And you go on. But this is the kind of guy that's now going to be speaking to America on a regular basis.
Right, and that time slot has been Fox's showpiece. That is where they have had the biggest audience. Now, I constantly have to remind people that the biggest audience on Fox is 2.5 million people. Okay, that's a really small slice of America. It's a dangerous slice of America, but it's really not that huge. It beats every other cable place, like CNN and MSNBC. Although MSNBC in the last couple of weeks has done pretty well and beaten Fox, but it gets nowhere near what the mainstream media on the network newscasts get. So they get on their best nights 2.5, 3 million people. David Muir on ABC routinely gets 10 million. Uh, Lester Holt on NBC routinely gets 7 or 8 million. And even Nora O'Donnell, who's in third place, gets about 5 to 6 million. So that's a lot more people who are getting and seeking to hear the straight news without
Yeah.
the BS commentary. So don't get too discouraged. The encouraging part, and I'll just say this one more point, the encouraging part is that Fox's viewership has declined dramatically after their problems with Dominion, after the revealed emails, which showed that they were duplicitous with their audience, claiming to
Yeah.
echo what they believe on that Trump had the election stolen, but in fact they believed that it wasn't stolen, and it was
Yeah.
revealed in their emails. And even Tucker Carlson said he hated Trump and wished he would go away. So those emails really hurt, and of course, then the dismissal of Tucker Carlson also really hurt. So they've gone they've lost about in prime time among demo, which is the younger audience, which advertisers use. They lost 62% of their audience. That is a huge
A big
dip.
drop. Yeah.
So they've had some problems. They're struggling to get back. I think they'll get some of their audience back with Jesse Waters, but I don't think they'll return to the dominance that they were.
I love that you try to keep me sane by pointing out the numbers and that relatively they don't have as many people watching and that more people are normal, right? More people
Right.
are getting the right
Well,
information. But what I do read in your article, which is very concerning to me, other than the meanness, is that apparently Waters is into deep state conspiracies. And that to
yeah.
me is kind of scary.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he's replacing Tucker in that conspiracy world,
Yeah.
and Waters is constantly believes he's been echoing the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff about um, uh, the quote unquote Hunter the Biden crime family, and he has been a proponent of this false issue, not proven, that Biden took bribes, and according to Jesse Waters, took bribes and is now being extorted, uh, and that all of his policies, which are, he claims, socialist or communist, are being pushed on him by some Ukrainian oligarch who owns him and is making him do these things to destroy America. Well, none of that is true.
Yeah.
None of it,
Well, I
or has been
guess
proven.
what we can take away from this is that if there are people that want to hear the lies and the conspiracy theories, Fox continues to serve it up on a nice big healthy platter, so you know right where to go get it.
Right, and they do, and it's that to anger Michael Shore, it's like hockey fans. Okay, it's the same.
Oh.
It's hockey is one of those places where it's the same 20,000 people that show up at the stadium and nobody else cares, but it's over and over, and that's what Fox is. They're the same 2 million people at most during their biggest shows, and nobody else pays any attention to them, or they shouldn't pay any attention to them.
Something else that I wanted to talk to you about was this ruling yesterday by Judge Cannon in the Trump case. I'm sure that you've seen this. In addition to uh, ruling on classified materials and how they'll be handled in the case, I think the bigger deal that she ruled on yesterday is the sealed witnesses list. So the special prosecutor, Jack Smith, wanted to file under seal a list of witnesses, more than 80 people, with whom Trump cannot speak about the classified documents case. Uh, Apparently, Judge Cannon doesn't raise any problems with the restriction, but she wanted to know why filing the list on the docket was necessary in the first place. She said prosecutors haven't provided adequate reasoning for why this list, and if filed in court, should be kept completely under seal. And so the special counsel is not allowed to do this. What do you make of it?
Well, it was the media who went to the court and said it shouldn't be sealed. So I kind of tend to agree with that. I believe that that it all should be released and public. Everything on there should be released in public, and and everything on this case should be transparent. In fact, we should be broadcasting everything live that
Hmm.
happens in this case. This is a case where a former president may go to prison, and he has 30% of the population who believes that he's being unfairly tried, and they should hear everything, and they should know who the witnesses are against him. Now, I don't think she's um, voided the ruling by the magistrate who first ordered that uh, this list be published, on this list be made by the prosecutors and given to the defense so that they would know who Trump could not talk to.
Hmm.
I don't think that's been. She questioned it, but she didn't overrule it.
No,
So I think that is actually a good thing because he should not be allowed to tamper with those witnesses,
no, absolutely
especially the
not.
guy who works for him. And that's what that list is about. Should we know who that list is? Yeah, we should know. What's the harm in us knowing? I don't. I think prosecutors want to keep everything as secret as they can until it goes to trial. That's
Yeah.
just kind of that's their DNA.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a big thing, a big loss for the prosecutor's office. They really didn't. Their brief on it that I read was very small and just said they objected to it, and there weren't any real arguments. So I don't think he's hurting a lot by this. So far, it's only a couple things that have been ruled on by this judge, who we were all
Yeah.
very suspicious of. But so far, she's been okay. I mean, she has put the court date at an early time. The prosecution wanted to move back to December. She's agreed with that. So we're watching her very carefully, but so
Yeah.
far, no huge grievances at this point.
Well, Jim Avila, I just adore you for coming on. Thank you. I'm loving your writing in barrettmedia.com. Did I get it right? It's barrettnewsmedia.com, isn't it?
BarrettNewsMedia.com. Yeah, and you can
Um,
see it on my Twitter feed as well.
your Twitter feed, and also I posted a link to your article in the chat. So click on that link, you
Great.
guys, and take a look at it. I love that they put you, every time you write an article, it's the big one, right above the fold, front and center on it. So I'm super proud of you. Thank you so much
you.
for coming on and talking about that. And I will see you later this week with Michael Schur, and I can't wait to talk some hockey.
Yeah, we'll dig him a little bit about hockey.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell, you'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.